Today on the Bowie Youth Showcase, we continue to focus on the different branches of government and how they each have an impact on us. Sit tight, we will be right back.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's going to happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
Hello and welcome to the Bowie Youth Showcase. My name is Jasmin Hall and I have the pleasure of introducing our guest, Delegate Aisha Braveboy, who represents District 25 right here in Prince George's County. Most recently, she has declared her intentions to run for Maryland Attorney General. Thank you for joining us today, Delegate Braveboy.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So first and foremost, what inspired you to kind of get into law and politics?
Well, for years, I've had a sense of responsibility to my community. As a student, I was in student government. When I was in law school, I did a lot of community service activities. So I've always felt a need and a sense of responsibility to help those around me and to be a voice for individuals who have felt voiceless.
Right, okay. I know some of our viewers might be unfamiliar with the responsibilities that come with your title. Can you tell us exactly what a delegate does and kind of where that position falls within the branches of government?
Sure. Well, of course, you know, and most of your listeners know there are three branches of government. As a state delegate, I fall within the legislative branch. We create laws. So my responsibility is similar to a congressional member of Congress. Their responsibility at the federal level is to create laws to help pass a budget for the country, for the United States. At the state level, we have state legislatures, which I'm a member of. You have both a House and a Senate. In Maryland, senators are elected one per district, and in most districts there are 3 elected House representatives. So I'm one of 3 members elected to represent the House in District 25.
Okay. And how do state and federal crime, how do they differ? How are the penalties kind of determined?
Sure. Well, so federal crimes are crimes that are enacted or laws that are enacted by Congress that create different categories of crimes that are called sort of federal crimes because they're enacted by Congress. Okay. But similarly, at the state level, we enact laws to protect the citizens, and those are state statutes, and so we make certain offenses illegal in the state of Maryland. And all of those are housed in our criminal codes, our statutes, in the state. The way they're different is many laws overlap. There are some laws that you can break, and they have federal penalties and also state penalties. Typically, if you're charged and convicted of a federal crime, you're going to do more time. The federal law requires those convicted to do at least 80% of their sentence. At the state level, it's a little bit more flexible. And so many individuals who are being prosecuted sometimes prefer to be prosecuted under the state law and state statute by state prosecutors, but many times the state prosecutor will allow the federal prosecutor to take the lead and prosecute it as a federal offense.
Okay. I know you're quite involved with the fight for equal rights with a number of groups. Can you tell us a little bit more specifically about the work that you've done with youth and education?
Well, absolutely. Well, first of all, I passed a bill a couple of years ago, which I'm very proud of, and that raised the dropout age in the state of Maryland from 16 to 18. And we understand that our young people like you and others, you really are our future. I know that sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true. And your success really impacts the success of our entire society, including our state and our county. So the ability for young people to be successful in school, to get their degrees, to be productive members of our society is absolutely crucial. I passed the bill because, as you know and I know, if you don't at minimum have a high school diploma, it's very unlikely that you'll end up with a job. You're twice as likely to end up in the criminal justice system. And so from a public safety perspective, from an economic perspective, it just makes sense for young people to stay in school. That gives them other options, like either pursuing a 2 or 4 year degree or perhaps going into business for themselves. But they need to be equipped with the tools of reasoning, of understanding English and math and science so that they can participate in the economy. And that's what we want, our young people to be able to participate in the above ground economy.
Right,
now, I work with a lot of young people today who have fallen into the criminal justice system. What we do, we have a diversionary program called the Community Public Awareness Council. And when a young person is arrested for a misdemeanor offense, instead of them going through the normal judicial process and potentially ending up with a juvenile record, the court system now diverts most of those cases to us that occur in Prince George's County. And what we do is we hold community court.
Okay.
We hold the individuals responsible. We require participation by their parent or guardian in the hearings that we conduct. And after the hearings, we place sanctions on those individuals who have gotten involved with criminal behavior. Some of the sanctions include community service, but it also includes a mentoring program, tutorial services. In many cases, we find that some young people have undiagnosed mental health issues, and so we provide counseling services for them. So we're really excited about the program. Over the last 8 years, we've served over 2,000 young people, and we have an 85% success rate.
Wow, that's great.
So we're really excited that we've been able to keep thousands of young people off or out of jail, out of the criminal justice system, and really put them on a path to success.
Okay, that's great. And I was reading that you were quite involved with some recent issues that had come up with some of the HBCUs in the state. Can you kind of give us a little bit of a background on that? Because I know it was pretty big news what was going on.
Right. Well, back in 2006, the state of Maryland was sued by a coalition representing our 4 historically black colleges and universities in the state of Maryland. The coalition alleged things like underfunding for HBCUs, as well as program duplication. So that meant that there were programs that were successful at historically black colleges and universities, like the Morgan State's MBA program, which is a successful program. The Maryland Higher Education Commission allowed a joint program from Towson and the University of Baltimore to be created to directly compete for students who would have otherwise attended Morgan's program. Now, University of Maryland at Baltimore and University of Baltimore and Towson State University had never suffered from the lack of underfunding or underfunding and historic discrimination that many of our HBCUs suffered from, well, really all of them, which really led to inferior facilities, campus facilities. It led to things like reduced number of full-time professors, as well as the infrastructure not being as modernized as some of the other universities. So of course, if you have a choice of going to this really modern, well-funded program and a program that had historically not been well-funded, or a school that hadn't been well-funded, then many of those students opted to go to the Towson University of Maryland, University of Baltimore joint program. So Morgan State lost a number of students. The state should have, instead of allowing another program to duplicate Morgan's program, they should have better funded Morgan's program so that they could have appealed to a wider variety of students. You know, when Morgan started, they had a very diverse class. You had African Americans, of course, and you have whites and Asians and Hispanics, and all of the students in the region were attracted to that program because of the quality of the program. So our Higher Education Commission, unfortunately, allowed not just Morgan's program, but a number of other programs at historically black colleges to be unnecessarily duplicated. And what the court found on October 7th of this year, when they found against the state, they found that the state was really was running what's called a dual system of higher education, and one basically for white students and one for black students, which really flew in the face of Brown versus Board of Education, which said separate but equal is inherently unequal. So the state was in violation of the civil rights of the students at these universities because they were perpetuating that philosophy and that policy. And it's a very serious issue and very serious finding for the state. And now the parties are in the process of mediating a remedy. And so we hope that the state will mediate in good faith.
Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit to the future. So what would you hope to accomplish if elected Attorney General?
Well, what I hope to accomplish is to create a better environment for all of our residents and citizens to access justice, whether it's justice in education or in the criminal justice system, or dealing with businesses in our state. I mean, one of the biggest jobs for the Attorney General is to protect consumers. So we are like the consumer protection watchdog of the state, which a lot of people don't know. So let's say, for instance, and I'll just give an example, when the banks, recently, obviously we have the Mortgage Settlement Act, but the banks had, and some of these mortgage companies were targeting individuals based on race or income for exotic mortgages and these arms that, that prevented people from being able to keep their homes and things like that. So the banks were treating our consumers in our state unfairly. Well, it's the job of the Attorney General to investigate those types of complaints and bring suits against businesses that are treating our residents unfairly. Recently, also this year, we passed the new Obamacare law, or the federal law, okay? And one of the things that happened was that our state's largest health insurance provider, CareFirst, proposed a 24% rate increase. And so,
like you'd be busy
so the Attorney General's office has to get involved with those rate proceedings. We must defend and protect the rights of consumers and argue against unnecessary increases in essential goods and services like health care, now that everyone's required to have. So,
Well, thank you, Delegate Braveboy. You're answering a lot of questions I'm sure our viewers at home had. Definitely giving us some great information. And I want our viewers to stay tuned because we will be right back with more from Delegate Braveboy.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Welcome back. Okay, so we're just going to jump right back in. What is the difference between state's attorney, district attorney, and attorney general?
Well, that's a very good question because a lot of people are confused. We're all attorneys, basically, right? But state's attorneys and district attorneys are essentially synonymous. They're one and the same. In some jurisdictions, and they're elected locally, like a county. For instance, Prince George's County has a state's attorney, Angela Alsobrook, who's one of my good friends. And each county in the state of Maryland and Baltimore City has what's called a state's attorney, and they're responsible for prosecuting criminal offenses that occur within their jurisdictions. Some jurisdictions, some states call them district attorneys, but they essentially do the same thing. The Attorney General is quite a different office. That office is the chief legal office for the state of Maryland. And so the Attorney General's office essentially acts as in-house counsel for the state, or general counsel for the state of Maryland. So the Attorney General advises all of the agencies and boards and commissions of state government, including the governor, the lieutenant governor, and all of the members of the General Assembly. We actually, I'm a member of the General Assembly now, we actually have an assistant attorney general that specifically advises us in the legislature. The Attorney General also acts as the consumer protection counsel for the state as well. In addition to that, the Attorney General's office has what's called a civil rights division, where we investigate claims of civil rights violations, discrimination, and other things that occur in state government and outside of state government. So the Attorney General's office has a wide breadth of responsibilities. We get involved in criminal appeals. So if there's an appeal of a case, let's say involving the state that was prosecuted by a state's attorney, and there's an appeal primarily by obviously the defendant in that case. Well, in every case by the defendant, otherwise it's double jeopardy, then the Attorney General's office would handle the criminal appeal. So, okay. So there's a lot of nuances, obviously, with the Attorney General's office, but we're the chief legal counsel of the state.
Okay, so does the state's Attorney General work close with the U.S. Attorney General office? And if so, can you just give us a quick example?
Yeah, I mean, I would say with the mortgage settlement agreement, if you remember that, that occurred back in, I guess, 2011, where all of the states got together and settled many claims with respect to our 5 major financial institutions that were responsible for the financial crisis. The U.S. Attorney General was also very involved and active in the negotiations of that settlement agreement, to which Maryland and all other states were a party to. So in that way, we absolutely work together. In addition to that, we work together on issues that where you have criminal activity that cross state lines, like drug trafficking, illegal gun trafficking, human trafficking. So there are a lot of issues where we overlap and work with the federal government. Okay.
And do you think you can kind of give us some of your personal advice that you would give viewers that are possibly considering, obtaining a degree in law and politics or pursuing that kind of career field?
Absolutely. Well, first let's start with, at the initial stage, wanting to go to law school. I mean, it's a very rigorous process being in law school. Typically it's 3 years unless you go part-time, which is 4 years, but typically people go for 3 years. And one of the most important lessons I think that I learned is that you must have a great deal of character. You must be someone who is disciplined, so you can work on that now, being disciplined in your studies. And no, you're fine, you're wonderful. But to the viewers, I mean, absolutely, when your parents tell you, cut off the TV, focus on your work, that is absolutely important, because you must be focused on the information in front of you so that you can reason well. So when you're reading, you read not just to see the words, but to comprehend what those words mean. And because at some point, if you become a lawyer, what you read, the words that you read will impact a case that you're working on, will impact a client. The other important issue is to hone in on your writing skills. In order to be an effective lawyer, you're going to many times write briefs and motions, and you want to make sure that you are using, correct English, everything's grammatically correct, and that you're writing in a way that the person who you're writing for will understand what you have to say, will understand your arguments. And then you have to understand how to articulate your arguments to someone else. And so those are skills that we can work on now, or young people can work on now, but definitely they need to have a love of reading and writing and comprehending what they're reading. So reading a newspaper and discussing that with your parents, that's a really good way to kind of hone those reasoning skills and those logic skills that are so necessary and important in law school. But in terms of politics, people come into politics from, various walks of life, whether they are attorneys, many of us are, but you have people who are in business, people who are doctors, engineers. So it really doesn't really matter what you major in, or even if you go to college. I mean, you can be an elected official without having obtained a college degree. But what you must have, I think, to be effective is really a heart for people. You have to really care about who you represent, because you are their voice. We live in a democracy, but it's a representative democracy. And so the people are represented by these individuals who they elect. And so if they're electing someone who's not paying attention to them, that's doing their own thing, then they feel that their democracy isn't working for them. And so not only do I feel responsible, obviously as a lawyer, to uphold the law, but I also feel the need to uphold our system of democracy. And that comes with understanding that you're there not for yourself, but for the people who you represent.
Right. Some great advice there. And how do you think young people can kind of start now and get involved in the legislative process?
Well, they can get involved now by, looking at issues that impact them, and then coming to us to lobby us on those issues. And I'll give you an example. An example is college tuition. We have several state schools, and for years we've tried our best to keep the tuitions low so that students can afford to go to school, because a lot of students are paying for it on their own. But it doesn't mean that every year we're going to keep tuition at a low or affordable rate. So every year, the issue of whether or not we should have tuition increases come up. And so young people need to get involved in those conversations and let us know what their expectation is for us. They want to go to school. They want college to be affordable. Many of them want to go to state schools. And so they can come and lobby us. They can form a group, a coalition, get participation from folks through Facebook and Instagram and all of the social media, and have a lobby day in Annapolis where they're lobbying on an issue. And I'm just pointing out in-state tuition, but there are other issues like cyberbullying and human trafficking and other issues that young people have an interest in. And another issue that a lot of young people have an interest in is, what do we do when someone offends? Because a lot of young people, unfortunately, will get caught up in the criminal justice system. And so do they want their peers to suffer for the rest of their lives because they made a mistake? Or do they want our system of justice to be firm but fair and provide a person an opportunity to really rehabilitate and reenter society in a productive way? Well, it's our young people that are going to be, impacted by that. And they should be coming to talk to us about policies that will assist their peers in reentering society if they happen to make a mistake. So those are some of the issues that I think young people can come and start talking about. They can write letters to us. They can visit and have meetings with their respective legislators. But the most important thing is that they have a voice, and even if they can't vote yet because they haven't turned 18, they have parents who vote, they have grandparents who vote, they have uncles and aunts, and so they're important. Very important. Well, they're definitely important to me. Whether you vote or not, if you're a constituent, you're important to me. But people understand that if a young person takes the time to come to Annapolis to talk about an issue that's important to them, there's probably at least 10 to 20 other people in their circle that it means something to as well. And so we really value the input of young people in Annapolis, and I hope that many of your viewers will want to come and talk to us about issues that are important to them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I definitely would hope the same thing. And just before we wrap up,
Sure.
You represent District 25. Now, what exactly, where exactly does that cover? Just give our viewers a little
Sure.
update.
Well, our northernmost point is in Mitchellville. We also have Largo, Kettering, parts of Upper Marlboro, District Heights, Forestville, the unincorporated part of Capitol Heights. In addition to that, the town of Morningside, and all the way down to the northern part of Clinton. So we have a pretty large district, very economically diverse, but it's a wonderful district.
Great. It sounds like you got plenty to keep yourself busy,
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank
us
you.
today. You gave us some great information. I know there were some things that I haven't even, heard in a while that,
Sure.
it's always great to keep your mind updated and refreshing. But we do wish you the best of luck with your run.
I appreciate that.
And once again, we want to thank Delegate Braveboy for joining us and giving our viewers insight on her responsibilities as a member of the House of Delegates. My name is Jasmin Hall, and we hope to see you next time here on the Bowie Youth Showcase.
What's up? I'm Bella.
Yo, what up? This is Vinny Guadagnino.
I'm Nick Cannon.
Hi, I'm Aziz Ansari. That was your line.
You can help by joining DoSomething.org.
DoSomething.org.
That's why I'm teaming up with DoSomething.org.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me back. Hey, did you tell your parents about us? Let's skip first period together. Did you get all my texts? Is practice over yet? Where are you at? Are you with your friends? That's L-A-A-A-A-M-M-E-E-E. Capital X, lowercase o, capital X, lowercase o.
I love you. JK. I hate you. JK.
Are you ignoring me? We're in a huge fight right now. Is this something I did?
I can see your lights on. I'm coming over.
What'd you dream about? Me? I'm lonely. Holla back. Holla back. Let's try something new. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
What are you doing here? It's not your weekend.
I can see my son anytime I want.
I paid you in advance. Just finish the job.
Hey, I did the job. You added more.
Stop parking in front of my house. Park in front of your own house. I can park wherever I want.
You always embarrass me in front of my friends.
I don't care. I'm your mother.
I don't believe this. You let your dog crap in my yard again?
My dog can go wherever he wants.
You let him do it again. I had something for you.
That smell. Can't you do that at home?
I'm at lunch. This is my time. If you have a conflict, CMPG offers mediation services to residents and businesses in Prince George's County. They're confidential, informal, and free. For more information, call 301-952-4729.
So what you want to do is, have you already enrolled? You're doing fine.
What did that just do?
Select the drop-down menu again. Continue to sign. You're already enrolled. Example here, so don't panic. You're ready to make your payment. Submit. There it is.
Oh my God! I really can't believe I did. That's awesome.
Good for you.